This anime tells the story of a student named Tenju Yuya, who has had a difficult life since childhood due to his unattractive appearance, obesity, messy hair, and, of course, poverty. Although people always look down on him, he still has a desire to help others. That's why when a girl is being harassed by a group of lecherous men, he tries to help, even if it means sacrificing himself. On his way home, he recalls the painful memories he's experienced since childhood. He was always bullied by people, and only his grandfather cared about him. His grandfather left Yuya a house and savings, so he wouldn't have to depend on his parents. The next day, he was bullied again by his schoolmates. He also lost his part-time job, which had been his main source of income. This incident left him extremely depressed, and in anger, he punched a wall to vent his frustration. Who would have thought he'd discovered a secret room hidden behind the wall of his grandfather's house? Inside, there was a mysterious door connecting to another world. When Yuya opened it, various menus and ability statuses suddenly appeared, just like in a game. Besides his ability statuses, he could also use a very useful feature, one of which was converting items into real money. There, various weapons were stored, and Yuya tried them out one by one, gaining skills from the weapons he used. Then, while practicing using his weapons, a high-level monster suddenly appeared outside his yard. Yuya immediately threw his weapon at the monster. The result was unexpected. The monster was killed instantly with just one attack. This caused Yuya's stats and level to suddenly increase dramatically. Furthermore, he could exchange the dropped materials for large sums of money. After increasing his level in the other world, something miraculous happened in the real world. His body suddenly became athletic and handsome, making everyone unable to believe it was Yuya. While Yuya was talking with his friends, a student from another school suddenly approached him. The student was named Kaori Honju. She was the girl Yuya saved from being teased by a pervert. Kaori's father, Tsukasa Huju, was the principal of Usei Academy, and when he heard that Yuya had protected his daughter from a bad guy, he wanted to invite Yuya to Usei Academy. Therefore, they decided to immediately invite Yuya to visit Usei Academy, and the principal was very grateful. While everyone else turned a blind eye, only Yuya immediately took action to help Kaori. Therefore, Yuya should be proud of this, and since Usei Academy places a strong emphasis on good morals, the principal wants Yuya to attend. Since Yuya is still undecided, he is given the opportunity to attend classes for a day. Unlike his home school, almost all the students at Usei Academy treat Yuya well, whether because of their good manners or because of his cool appearance. In fact, quite a few female students are attracted to him. Most of them try to befriend him. During break, Yuya is invited to lunch by one of his classmates. At first, he is surprised because the food there is so complete, and the prices are similar to those at his home school. Furthermore, because all the students enjoy school life, the atmosphere is also pleasant. After learning all this, Yuya decides to accept the offer to attend. Kaori is also happy with this decision. After Yuya left the principal's office, he immediately invited Yuya to stop by a nearby shop. Since they had known each other for quite some time, Kaori intended to get closer to Yuya. This attracted other customers' attention, as their behavior was quite adorable. The day after his trial at Usei Academy, Yuya returned to the parallel world to increase his level and strength. He tried to explore the place outside his house's fence. There, he fought a monster stronger than before and encountered a girl who fainted in the face of it. The woman Yuya saved turned out to be a princess. Since his guards had arrived, Yuya decided to hide and return to his home world. While tidying up, Yuya considered buying new clothes. Although his clothes wouldn't get dirty, he didn't want to be seen wearing the same clothes every day, as is the case in most anime. While he was at a shopping center, almost everyone settled in, drawn to Yuya because of his aura, similar to that of a famous person. A photo shoot was being held at the same location, but they ran into serious trouble because their model arrived late. The model's bad attitude infuriated them. Their leader decided to randomly find a replacement, and that's when they happened to find Yuya looking for new clothes. They immediately asked him to take part in the photo shoot to replace their late model. Yuya was paired with a professional model named Mio, and in the shoot, he played her boyfriend. In the other world, Princess Lexia, who was previously rescued by Yuya, wanted to meet the man who had saved her. He brought some of his troops to enter the demon's territory. Meanwhile, in the real world, Yuya, who had just finished a photo shoot, was taking a break with Mio, although initially awkward and shy. But as they talked about their lives, Yuya relaxed a bit and enjoyed the conversation with Mio. The cameraman immediately captured the moment discreetly. Not long after, the model who had replaced Yuya arrived at the photo shoot. Despite her attractive appearance, she had a negative personality. As soon as she arrived, she suddenly cornered Mio, making her uncomfortable. Yuya tried to stop her, but the model became enraged and tried to hit him. Yuya easily dodged the attack and threw her down very hard. This incident caused the model's fans to turn to Yuya. Yuya was also offered a special contract with them, but he declined, citing his lack of experience. After participating in the photo shoot, Yuya received numerous outfits as a reward for his work. Having already acquired the clothes he wanted, he traveled to another world to increase his level and strength. Princess Lexia and her bodyguards were exploring the area, and when they encountered difficulties, Yuya returned to rescue them and defeated all the attacking monsters. After all the monsters were defeated, Princess Lexia suddenly proposed to Yuya to marry her. She immediately expressed her feelings, disregarding his status. Yuya deeply appreciated her feelings. However, asking her to marry him now felt it was too early. Princess Lexia didn't give up so easily. She decided to befriend Yuya and planned to win his heart the next time they met. The next day, Yuya started school at Usei Academy, but because he didn't have a gym uniform, he could only watch his friends play soccer. While Yuya was sitting on the sidelines, a girl named Kaidi approached him. While the two were chatting, a ball suddenly flew toward her. Yuya quickly kicked the ball, and despite the long distance, his shot went into the goal. This incident made Yuya even more popular, with almost all the girls talking about his prowess behind his back. Later, when Yuya returned to class, a group of delinquents from his previous school caused a commotion, planning to get revenge on Yuya for feeling belittled by him. Kaori ordered them to stop immediately, but they disobeyed and attempted to kidnap her. Yuya felt compelled to save her, even though he was still slightly traumatized. He tried to get up and fight them all without thinking. Yuya jumped from the 4th floor and confronted each of the delinquents one by one to save Kaori, who was about to be kidnapped. Ultimately, Yuya managed to maintain school security and hand the delinquent gang over to the authorities. As Yuya was about to explore the other world, he remembered a soldier's words that the area he frequented was the most dangerous zone. Any monster living there could destroy a city if it appeared in a group. However, Yuya was able to defeat it easily, so he deliberately explored the depths of the forest, hoping to encounter a stronger monster. He then found a small dog being attacked by a very powerful monster. The monster was so high level that he hesitated to fight it, fearing he might not survive. However, to save the little dog, he decided to fight it anyway, and ultimately, he defeated it with just one attack. Afterward, Yuya immediately healed the dog and kept it as a pet. The next day, Yuya went about his school activities as usual. During recess, he told his friends that he had a dog, so he asked for someone to accompany him to visit the pet shop. Based on its fur color, Yuya accompanies the dog, nicknamed Night. When Yuya takes it outside, he coincidentally meets Kaori. Besides Kaori, he also meets Mio, who is walking nearby. The three of them attract attention, so Mio decides not to linger with them. After Mio says goodbye, Kaori asks Yuya, "Are they dating?" Yuya denies it and explains their true relationship. Not long afterward, someone was pickpocketed. Upon learning of this, he immediately ordered Night to arrest the perpetrator, while he and Kaori went to the victim and calmed him down. After this incident, Yuya returned to exploring the other world. This time, he teamed up with his pet to maximize his exploration. Yuya encountered a deer monster that was stronger than before. After defeating it, the monster dropped an item that could transform into a bathtub. He also found a book left behind by the sage while exploring a cave. Inside the book, it was written that the sage could do anything while reading it. This indirectly advised him not to end up like himself. If his power continued to increase, people would eventually fear him. To prevent this, he had to build trust with someone loyal. Besides giving Yuya advice, he was also given the ability to use magic. The sage instilled a magical path in him, allowing him to use magic like people in the other world. The way to use magic is by sensing energy and concentrating it somewhere, then visualizing it until the energy changes shape according to his wishes. The first magic Yuya learned was to create a water ball. Although it was his first time using it, he was able to fire it with devastating power. While at the royal palace, the king had received news that his daughter had met Yuya. After learning that Lexia wanted to marry him, the king was immediately furious and couldn't control his anger. All the Usei Academy students were going to do their field work. They were camping for 2 nights with their respective groups because Yuya hadn't prepared Kaori and her classmates. After Yuya's needs were met, they decided to play around the shopping area. With his assessment and weakness detection abilities, Yuya was able to obtain various prizes that his friends wanted. He made them very happy and admired his talent. After that, Ryo invited them all to visit the cafe on the 7th floor. But the girls asked him to go first because they wanted to go to the clothing store. Moments after they parted ways, a fire suddenly broke out on the top floor. This incident trapped the group of girls and prevented them from escaping. Yuya couldn't just let it happen. He had to save Kaori, and he decided to break through the fire using his water magic. Then, when the 3 of them were found, he destroyed each floor so he could get down as quickly as possible. A few days before his field practice, Yuya explored another world to develop his magical abilities. By imagining the place he wanted to visit, he could create a portal connected to that place. Over time, his and his pet's cooperation became more and more intense. However, when Yuya asked him to go home, he refused to comply and ran off to a place filled with monsters. Besides the monsters, there was also a helpless girl there. She could no longer fight back. Yuya immediately saved her from a group of goblins that surrounded her. After that, Yuya took her to a safe place. When she regained consciousness, he also gave her a full recovery herb to heal all her wounds. The girl, named Luna, was training in the demon territory to increase her strength. Luna couldn't return to the city in that condition. She wanted to wash herself clean again. Luckily, Yuya had a tool to create a bathing pool. He allowed Luna to use the bath to cleanse herself. Luna asked. She asked Yuya to accompany her to practice there because she was afraid Luna would train alone again. Yuya couldn't refuse. They decided to practice all day until sunset. Then, that evening, Luna approached Yuya in the bathhouse and hugged him from behind, thanking him for complying with her selfish request. One day later, Yuya set off on a practical journey to the school field. Their activity was to survive in the forest for 2 days and 1 night. They had to survive on natural food sources, such as mushrooms or wild plants. Furthermore, they could fish in the river. Almost all the students complained about their situation. But Yuya didn't complain because he was used to exploring dangerous places thanks to his training experience with Luna. He could also provide for his group's food needs with only his bare hands. Luna was much stronger than before. With this ability, she could focus on carrying out her mission as a mercenary, catching large amounts of fish, while Rin and Akira collected mushrooms and plants. Because only Yuya can cook, he will cook it himself. But before they do, they must first show the material to the teacher. When the results were checked, they were quite satisfactory, being the only group whose ingredients were all safe to eat. However, the teacher warned them not to be careless. The teacher said the dishes they made would be assessed that night. That day, Yuya began cooking various dishes. He left his friends and teachers speechless because his dishes were tastier than those of professional chefs like Teacher Sawada. He didn't expect anyone to be able to make such delicious dishes. Therefore, he immediately proposed to Yuya to marry him. Yuya's friends and other teachers tried to bring him back to his senses, but he always refused to give in and continued to tease his student. After the situation calmed down a bit, Yuya returned home using the portal to feed his pet. The next day, an incident occurred where several students' belongings were destroyed, while the others were busy searching for the culprit. Yuya and his group continued their activities as usual. Then, while they were searching for wild plants, they saw a tree trunk covered in claw marks. It turned out to be the claw marks of a bear searching for food nearby. Kaide and Rin screamed and immediately ran away. The other students immediately fled to safety as the bear chased them. Teacher Sawada tried to help Yuya's group, but he fell, forcing Yuya to return and fight the bear. Thanks to Yuya, Sawada was fine. The bear was also secured, so it wouldn't attack humans again. After that, their field practice ended. Yuya had to visit another world because he had an appointment to meet the king. However, when Yuya met Princess Lexia, an assassin was targeting Princess Lexia. The assassin was Luna, or perhaps his temporary training partner, because he was worried about Luna's condition. Yuya immediately took her home, using his teleportation magic. This made Lexia wonder what kind of magic he used. After Yuya explained, she was forbidden from using chariot, especially in public. The reason was that teleportation was a legendary magic that could spark conflict. Regarding Luna, she seemed ready to accept any punishment, but Lexia chose to forgive him and decided to make him her bodyguard. This meant that someone who gave orders couldn't do anything wrong. Yuya didn't consider Luna a bad person, even though their meeting was brief, but he still considered Luna a valuable friend. Luna found various reasons to reject Lexia's offer, but because Lexia was stubborn, she was forced to become her personal bodyguard. Furthermore, Lexia also learned that Luna had feelings for Yuya, so they decided to compete for his heart. The next day, they gathered again with the royal knights when they were asked who the woman behind him was. Lexia accidentally revealed that she was the assassin who had been targeting her yesterday. This alerted her bodyguards, who immediately pointed guns at Luna. Fortunately, Lexia was able to resolve the situation by explaining that they had reconciled with Luna and had made Luna her bodyguard. Lexia was able to stop the knights from harming her. After that, Yuya was invited to the palace. Unfortunately, he couldn't go there because his vacation was over. Instead, he would definitely go to the capital if he had free time. Before leaving for school, Yuya took some time to soak in the baths. After that, he immediately went to school using his teleportation magic. Today's schedule was a little different from usual. They were participating in an inter-class sports tournament. Rio was quite eye-catching, but Yuya still stood out more than anyone else. When Yuya came home from school, He was offered a career in the entertainment industry by his agency. From the start, Yuya had absolutely no interest in the entertainment world, is currently able to attend school normally, which is enough to calm her down. Therefore, she decided to reject the offer, even though Yuya had already rejected it. The president of the agency refused to give up. They decided to attend the sports tournament to get a chance to photograph Yuya. That night, Yuya entered another world. He slew various monsters to hone his magical skills and weapon use. However, no matter how many monsters he defeated, his level would no longer increase. Then, just as he was running out of ways to increase his power, an SS-ranked monster suddenly appeared, extremely difficult to defeat with his current strength. However, he and his pet survived thanks to a rabbit that helped him. The rabbit was no ordinary animal. It was one of the strongest creatures and had been given the title of God. After observing him for a long time, the rabbit decided to make Yuya its successor. Therefore, it began training him rigorously to increase his strength. After his abilities improved, Yuya immediately faced a high-ranking boar monster, although it seemed difficult. However, by using all his might, he managed to defeat it. By defeating the SS-ranked monster, Yuya's abilities had improved. He underwent racial evolution to become a superior human. I was worried that his appearance would change, but fortunately, evolutionary changes only occur in physical strength. But this becomes a serious problem. He has difficulty controlling his powers, and it interferes with his daily activities. For example, when he participates in a sports tournament, Yuya scares the other students because his movements can destroy the field. Meanwhile, Kaori shows the opposite attitude after their activity is over. She approaches him again and invites him to go home with her. An exam will be held soon. Yuya becomes a bit anxious because he isn't good at math. Knowing this, Kaori immediately invites Yuya to study at her house. The study activity goes smoothly. However, when Kaori asks permission to go to the restroom, she enters a secret room and sees the gate to the other world. Yuya has no intention of keeping this secret from Kaori. He tells her the truth about the world and allows her to enter. He also reveals all his secrets. Knowing all this makes Kaori curious to see more of the world. Yuya intends to take her around, but because there are still many monsters roaming around, he doesn't. He could invite her now. In return, he promised to show her around the royal palace. Luna confronted the king after Luna revealed that she had been targeting Lexia. The king immediately raised his sword to slash her, but the attack missed. Luna had already tied the king up using her thread technique. After that, the king stopped attacking Luna because Lexia herself forbade it. After the plan to assassinate Lexia failed, her clients decided to immediately attack the palace. They planned to attack the king and then blame Yuya for it. Meanwhile, Yuya, who had plenty of free time, would visit the capital. But before going there, he had to prepare supplies by selling goods from his home world. When Yuya visited a shop, the shop owner assumed he was a noble in disguise. Yuya denied this. However, the shop owner didn't believe him because the goods he sold were expensive. Thanks to the merchant, Yuya no longer had to worry about money. He could continue his journey to the capital without any obstacles. Then, upon arriving at the capital, he immediately met the king at the palace. Without further ado, the king immediately vented his anger, believing Yuya had dared to tease his daughter. Not long after, they were suddenly surrounded by a group of assassins. They intended to attack by erecting a barrier that could block magic. Even without magic, Yuya was still able to fight them off quickly, paralyzing them one by one until they all fell. After investigating, they learned that the first prince had planned the assassination. They asked Yuya to help them resolve the chaos. However, even though the situation wasn't yet safe, Lexia invited Yuya to go for a walk around the city. She even competed with Luna because they both wanted to spend time alone with her. Besides walking around the city center, they also registered with the Adventurers Guild. When registering, they had to write down their abilities and then use a crystal ball to determine their magical energy capacity. As someone who wasn't particularly skilled at using magic, Luna's test results were mediocre. But when Yuya's turn came, he surprised everyone. Because his magical capacity was too great, it caused the crystal to break. He also mastered various elements that usually appear in legends. And after registering as adventurers, they began their first mission. Their first mission was to collect herbs. After successfully collecting them, the points informed them that the prince's whereabouts had been discovered. Therefore, Yuya was asked to immediately accompany Owen to the prince's hideout. Upon arriving at the hideout, Yuya ordered his pet to rescue the hostages, as Sandra had been released. The prince threatened to kill them if they continued to approach him. This threat didn't deter Yuya. He was still able to confront the prince at breakneck speed and immobilize his movements. Shortly afterward, a very strong girl suddenly appeared. This girl was the one who influenced the prince to destroy his own kingdom. Her strength may have surpassed Yuya's, but he decided to retreat because his stamina was almost gone. When the king was discussing the punishment for Prince Rhaegar, he couldn't look at him because of his physical condition. He was very worried that all the wounds the prince had suffered were caused due to Lexia's magical energy, which had previously been uncontrollable. This became one of the triggers. Why did this incident occur? Before the king gave Yuya's punishment, he tried to give him a potion called a herbai. With this potion, all the wounds suffered by the prince could be healed instantly, even though the wounds had healed. The prince could not escape execution. Therefore, the prince felt that everything was in vain. Then, Lexia told her father that she had forgiven her brother's mistakes. Lexia forced her father to lighten her brother's sentence and not give him the death penalty. The next day, Yuya went to school as usual. After school hours were over, he immediately went to another world to train. He confronted Mala, worried about Yuya's condition. Kaori tried to meet him, but she couldn't do anything because Yuya was fighting against a woman named Yuti. She was a student and the successor of the long-killed god of the bow. Yuya, according to Yuti, was someone who could disrupt his revenge plans. Therefore, he didn't hesitate. Directing all his power to defeat Yuya in the middle of the battle, the rabbit teacher immediately came to Yuya's aid, although he arrived late, but thanks to the rabbit teacher, they were able to gain the upper hand over Yuti. Then, when Yuti was cornered, she began to use Mala, or the power of an evil god. This power made her lose control and was very difficult to fight. Fortunately, one of Yuya's pets had the ability to stop Mala until they were finally able to stop Yuti's rampage, and Season 1 ended. See you in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next story.